Today, we're going to dive into one of the biggest fears of those who are at home at night: unexpected visitors in the early hours of the morning. Get ready to discover 7 chilling horror stories about people who had their nights interrupted by mysterious knocks on the door, doorbells ringing without explanation, and scary encounters when everyone should already be asleep. Let's explore reports from those who experienced situations that turned the night into a true nightmare. So, sit back, make sure the doors are locked properly, and let's begin this spine-chilling journey. Oh, and before someone knocks on your door, take the opportunity to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and leave your like. This really helps the channel and makes sure you don't miss any scary content like this. Let's go. The man in the hood, Emily Turner, has always enjoyed the feeling of independence. Living alone in a small ground-floor flat in Sheffield, she felt safe in the quiet neighborhood, close to the university where she was studying postgraduate study in psychology. The routine was simple: work, studies, reading nights, and video calls with family. But on that freezing January night, something shattered the fragile balance of their peace. The digital clock read 3:02 a.m. when Emily woke up to a dry, rhythmic sound: knocks on the door. Initially, he thought it was a dream, but the knocks repeated, this time louder. The silence of the apartment amplified every noise. Emily sat up in bed, her heart racing, and lay still for a few seconds, trying to hear more. The wind was blowing outside, but it wasn't the wind that was blowing. He got up slowly, took out his cell phone, and saw that there was no notification. She hesitated, but decided to walk to the door, barefoot, feeling the cold of the floor under her feet. The knocking stopped as she approached, as if whoever was on the other side knew exactly where she was. Emily stood frozen, just inches from the door, holding her breath. He gathered his courage and looked through the peephole. Outside, under the dim streetlight, a man in a black hoodie stood motionless, his face completely hidden by shadow. He didn't move. He didn't look around. He just stared at the door, or more precisely, the peephole, as if he knew she was watching him. Emily backed away, her heart hammering in her chest. He picked up the phone and called the police, whispering, trying not to make noise. While waiting for a response, he returned to the peephole. The man was still there, showing no impatience or haste. Time seemed to stretch out. She realized, with a chill, that he only knocked when she was close to the door, as if he sensed her presence. The police attendant asked for calm and assured that a vehicle was on the way. Emily turned off the lights and hid behind the couch, watching the door. The man then took a step back, took something out of his pocket, a small metallic object, perhaps a screwdriver, and began to fiddle with the lock. The sound of metal scraping against the door was unbearable. Suddenly, Emily's phone vibrated, a text message from an unknown number. "Are you there, Emily?" Her name, spelled correctly, made fear turn to panic. She couldn't understand how he knew her name, or how he knew she was awake. The police called again, saying they were 2 minutes away. Emily, trembling, heard the man stop picking at the lock. He returned to the peephole. He now looked directly into the lens, as if he could see it. Slowly, he raised his hand and made a gesture of silence, putting his finger to his lips covered by the hood. The lights of a flashing blue police car reflected on the living room wall. The man backed away, walked calmly down the sidewalk, and disappeared around the corner without running. When officers arrived, they found only fresh metal marks on the lock and footprints on the wet sidewalk. No sign of the man in the hood. In the following days, Emily changed the locks, installed cameras, and started avoiding being alone at home at night. But the fear persisted. She started receiving anonymous messages, always in the early hours of the morning, with phrases like, "I still wake up thinking about you," or "Did you like your visit?" The police investigated, but never found the perpetrator. The number of messages changed every night, always hidden, always threatening. Emily began to notice details that previously went unnoticed. A car parked for hours on the other side of the street, a stranger who seemed to be watching her in the supermarket. Hurried footsteps in the building's hallway when she arrived late. Security cameras recorded figures, but never a clear face. The man in the hood seemed to know exactly where the blind spots were. Emily's routine has changed. He started sleeping with a chair blocking the door, avoided going out after dark, and changed his route to university several times. She tried to resume her normal life, but night terrors accompanied her. Friends began to notice his anxious behavior. Emily avoided talking about what happened, fearing she would appear paranoid. One night when he arrived home, he found an envelope under the doormat. Inside, a photo of her sleeping, taken from outside her bedroom window. On the back, the message, "You are never alone." Fear turned into paranoia. Emily decided to spend a few days at a friend's house, but the messages continued, now with details of the new address. The police intensified their patrols, but without concrete evidence, there was little they could do. The case was recorded as an attempted invasion and persecution, but for Emily and for the neighbors who heard about the story, it was a warning. Sometimes, true terror does not come from ghosts or legends, but from real people who observe, study, and choose the exact moment to knock on your door in the darkness of the morning. Months later, Emily moved to another city, changed her number, and avoided social media. She never felt completely safe again. To this day, he avoids looking through the peephole when he hears any noise at night, and every time the clock strikes 3:02, she wonders if, on the other side of the door, someone is still waiting, motionless, for the perfect moment to knock. Again. 2. The wrong delivery winter in Richmond was silent, punctuated only by the biting wind and the occasional sound of cars passing on Main Avenue. That Saturday morning, the Chen family slept peacefully in their newly acquired house, still adapting to the new neighborhood and the Canadian routine. It was 2:37 a.m. when the doorbell rang, insistently breaking the absolute silence. Mei Chen, a mother of 2 young children, woke up first. Her husband Daniel also woke up confused. They both looked at each other, alarmed. They weren't expecting visitors, much less at that hour. Mei peered out her bedroom window and saw a man standing at the front door, wearing a delivery man's cap and jacket, holding a cardboard box. Daniel went downstairs slowly, took out his cell phone and activated recording mode. He approached the door without unlocking it. "Who is it?" the man replied, his voice muffled by the wind. "Delivery to Mr. Williams. I need you to sign here," Daniel, still drowsy, replied. "No, Williams lives here." "You are at the wrong address," the delivery man insisted, knocking harder. "Yes, sir. I have the right address. I just need to deliver the package." May, now beside her husband, whispered, "It doesn't open. Call the police." Daniel, without unlocking the door, repeated, "We don't know that name. Please go away." The man stood still for a few seconds, motionless. Then he took 2 steps back, looked at the living room windows, and walked slowly around the house. The motion sensor turned on the lights. In the side yard, May picked up the landline and called the police, while Daniel tried to follow the man through the newly installed security cameras. On the monitor, they saw the delivery man drop the box on the floor and try to open the side window, forcing the latch with his elbow. He didn't make it. He went to the kitchen window, tried to lift the glass, but it was locked. The alarm went off, a high-pitched noise that echoed through the neighborhood. The man stepped back, looked directly at one of the cameras and smiled, a cold smile, before disappearing around the side of the house. The police arrived in less than 10 minutes. The delivery man was already gone, but the box left at the door was empty, except for a piece of paper with letters cut out of a magazine. "You are not welcome." Officers collected camera footage and swept the block, but did not find anyone suspicious. The next morning, the Chen family was called to the police station to see images of other similar cases, newly occupied houses, always in the early hours of the morning. always a delivery man with a package for the previous resident. In 2 cases, attackers managed to break in and steal valuables. In another, a family was threatened with a knife. The police explained that the tactic was known. Criminals used the pretext of a delivery to identify vulnerable houses, test residents' reactions, and, if possible, break in during the early hours of the morning. The fact that the Chens did not open the door, combined with the alarm system, probably prevented the worst. In the following days, May and Daniel reinforced the locks, installed more cameras, and alerted neighbors. The children began to sleep. With their parents frightened by any noise, May developed insomnia, waking up several times to check the cameras and make sure everything was safe. A week later, they received another delivery, an envelope left at the gate with no return address. Inside, a photo of the house taken at night, with the living room lights on. On the back, a message. "We're still here. The Chens." Case spread throughout the neighborhood, leading other families to increase security and become suspicious of any unexpected visitors. Police stepped up patrols, but attacks continued in other neighborhoods in Richmond and Vancouver. The gang was never identified. The attackers were careful, never leaving fingerprints or easy-to-follow trails. For the Chen family, the feeling of vulnerability never completely disappeared. May started to avoid being alone at home. Daniel changed his work schedules to ensure that there was always an adult present. The children, once confident, began to fear the night and distrust any stranger at the door. The case was recorded as an attempted invasion and threat, but for the Chens and for many Richmond residents, it served as a warning. Not every delivery is what it seems, and real danger can knock on the door when you least expect it, disguised as routine in the dead of night. To this day, May wonders what would have happened if they had opened the door that night. And every time the doorbell rings out of turn, fear returns, reminding us that for some families, the feeling of security can be as fragile as a forced lock in the dark. The request for help, the icy wind, blew through the silent streets of Leicester. When 15-year-old Liam Carter was startled awake by frantic knocking on the front door, the digital clock next to the bed flashed 2:47. The house was silent, except for the insistent sound that echoed through the hallway. Liam, still drowsy, sat up in bed, trying to understand if it was real or a nightmare. The beating intensified. A female voice, choked with crying, came through the door. "Please help me. They are following me. Please open. They're going to kill me." The instinct to help fought against fear. Liam peeked through the side window and saw a woman looking about. 30 years old, barefoot, with a bruised face and torn clothes. She looked desperately at the door, knocking with her bloody hand. His fear increased when he realized that she seemed to be looking directly at the window where he was standing. Liam ran to his parents' room, his heart racing. Simon, his father, woke up with a start, and Julia, his mother, got up immediately. Upon hearing her son's story, Simon asked everyone to be silent and turned off the lights in the house. He took out his cell phone, activated recording mode, and approached the door without unlocking it. "Who is there? What happened?" Simon asked, trying to sound firm. The woman sobbed, "Please, they will kill me. Let me in just until the police arrive." Julia, trembling, dialed emergency, reporting the situation. While talking on the phone, Simon discreetly glanced through the living room curtain. As he focused better, he noticed 2 men crouched behind the car in the garage, and another standing by the garden gate, all observing the house, alert for any movement. Fear turned into silent panic. Simon whispered to Julia, "Do not open. It's a trap." Julia, with a trembling voice, informed the police about the hidden men. The operator asked everyone to move away from the windows and wait in silence, as a vehicle was already on its way. Outside, the woman continued to scream, now hitting harder, almost hysterically. "Please, they are here. They're going to catch me." The men began to move, circling the house. One of them tried to open the kitchen window, forcing the latch with his elbow. Simon, with shaking hands, grabbed a baseball bat and told Liam to lock himself in the bathroom with his cell phone. Time seemed to drag by. Julia tried to remain calm but cried in silence, hugging her husband. Liam, locked in the bathroom, heard the footsteps outside, the muffled sound of voices, and his own heart beating too loudly. The woman stopped knocking and began to cry softly, sitting on the doorstep. The men whispered among themselves, trying to decide their next move. One of them tried to force the back door open, but the alarm went off, a high-pitched noise that echoed through the neighborhood. The group backed away, and the woman quickly stood up, looking toward the gate. The blue lights of the police car cut through the darkness. Upon seeing the approach, the men fled through the back, jumping over the fence. The woman ran after them, abandoning the role of victim and revealing herself to be part of the group. Officers searched the garden and found footprints, gloves, and burglary tools. The case was registered as an attempted break-in and robbery. The police reported that the tactic was known. A woman pretended to be in danger to force residents to open the door, while accomplices waited to break in and rob the house. In other neighborhoods of Leicester, similar cases had occurred in previous weeks, always with the same pattern. Over the next few days, Liam and his family could barely sleep. The fear that the group would return was constant. Alarms were installed, locks reinforced, and the family became suspicious of any noise or movement at night. Julia developed insomnia, waking up several times to check the cameras and make sure everything was safe. Simon switched work hours to ensure there was always an adult at home. The story spread throughout the neighborhood, serving as a warning to everyone. Not every call for help is real, and opening the door in the early hours of the morning could be the beginning of a nightmare. For Liam, the lesson stuck with him. Compassion is important, but on certain nights, danger knocks on. The door disguised as despair. The case was never solved. The gang has not been identified, and similar reports have emerged in nearby cities. The police intensified their patrols, but the invaders were careful, never leaving fingerprints or easy-to-follow trails. For Liam's family, the dawn was never peaceful again, and trust in strangers, especially those who appear in search of help, became a distant memory of a night when fear overcame the instinct to welcome. Today, Liam avoids opening the door to strangers, especially at night. Julia keeps the police phone number at hand, and Simon reinforces to his children that no matter how difficult it is, safety comes before compassion. The episode went down as one of the scariest in the Carter family's lives, reminding them that sometimes the real danger is not what knocks, but what waits outside, ready to take advantage of the slightest sign of trust. What's up, guys? The stories of unexpected late-night visitors are chilling even now, aren't they? If you're enjoying these scary stories, take the opportunity to take a quick break, subscribe to the channel, and leave your like. This really helps the channel grow and motivates me to continue bringing you more chilling content. Now, shall we go back to the next stories? There's still a lot of fear ahead. The night technician. The digital clock was flashing 2:18 a.m. when Marta Ruiz woke up, startled by the insistent sound of the intercom. Living alone in an old building in the Example, central Barcelona neighborhood, she was used to the distant noise of traffic and the footsteps of neighbors, but never to such a late call. The silence of the early morning made everything more unsettling. Still drowsy, Marta hesitated before answering. "Yes?" he asked, his voice low and cautious. "Good night, Senora. I'm the building's maintenance technician. We received an urgent leak alert on your floor. I need you to let me in to check the pipes." The explanation seemed plausible, but something about the man's hurried tone made her uncomfortable. "Do you have identification?" He's in the car, but I can't waste time. If we don't resolve it now, it could cause flooding across the entire floor. Please open the door." Marta felt a chill run down her spine. The property manager, Mr. Garcia, was traveling, and any maintenance was always notified in advance. "Can you wait a moment?" "I'll call the property manager." The answer came harshly. "We don't have time, Senora. If it does not open, you will be responsible for the damage." She hung up the intercom, her heart racing. He picked up his cell phone and tried to call Mr. Garcia, but the call went straight to voicemail. As he was deciding what to do, he heard heavy footsteps coming up the stairs, followed by firm knocks on the apartment door. "Senora, please open. The leak is getting worse." The voice now seemed more impatient, almost threatening. Marta looked through the peephole. A man in his 40s, wearing dark overalls without a logo, held a tool bag. He stared at the door, as if he knew he was being watched. She backed away, locked the chain on the door and called the police, whispering as she explained the situation. While waiting, the man alternated between pleas and veiled threats. "If it doesn't open, I'll have to call the fire department. It will be worse for everyone." Marta turned off the lights and hid behind the sofa, the phone still in her hand. The man tried the handle, forcing it slightly. The metallic sound echoed through the dark apartment. Suddenly, he stopped, and silence ensued. Marta heard hurried footsteps coming down the stairs. The intercom rang again, but she didn't answer. The police arrived soon. Officers searched the building, but the man was missing. No neighbor had seen anyone strange come or go. The security cameras in the hall were turned off due to maintenance, according to the administrator. Marta reported everything, showing the call record and describing the man precisely. The next day, Marta discovered that other residents of the building had received similar visits in the previous weeks, always in the early hours of the morning, always claiming emergencies. In one of the apartments, an elderly woman was convinced to open the door and had valuables stolen, while the technician distracted the victim with questions about plumbing. The pattern was clear. The criminal attacked when the property manager was absent and the cameras were off, taking advantage of the residents' vulnerability. The police warned the neighborhood about the new tactic. Criminals posed as maintenance. Technicians, taking advantage of the absence of the property manager and the trust of residents to break into apartments. Marta's case was registered as an attempted break-in, and the investigation revealed that the man was already wanted for similar crimes in other neighborhoods of Barcelona. He used fake names, never left fingerprints, and always disappeared before. The police arrived. Marta reinforced the locks, installed a camera on the door, and became suspicious of any unexpected visitors, especially at night. The episode spread among residents, who created a messaging group to alert each other about strange movements. The fear, however, remained. Marta spent weeks without sleeping properly, waking up to every noise in the hallway. The sound of the intercom at night became her biggest nightmare, and the memory of the man in the dark overalls, standing on the other side of the door, insistent and threatening, never left her. The building administrator was pressured to install new cameras, and the building manager, upon returning, organized an emergency meeting to discuss security. Reports from other buildings began to emerge, always a night technician, always emergencies, always vulnerable victims. The case of the night technician was widely publicized in the local press, serving as a warning to thousands of residents of old buildings in Barcelona. Not every emergency is real, and the real danger may be disguised as routine, just waiting for a door to open in the early hours of the morning. Marta, previously calm, became a more suspicious person, always attentive to details, always waiting for the next unexpected call. To this day, when the intercom rings after dark, she feels the same chill down her spine that morning, and she has never answered it again without first confirming 2 or 3 times who is really on the other side of the door. New neighbors winter. In Auckland was wet and silent, with fog enveloping the streets of the Mount Eden residential neighborhood. For the Nakamura family, recently arrived from Japan, everything was still new. The low houses, the large garden, the neighbors' custom of waving through the window. Kenji, Aiko, and their two young children were looking for tranquility after years of hectic life in Tokyo. They had moved less than 2 weeks ago, still unpacking boxes and adapting to the local routine. The house was cozy, but the silence of the neighborhood, so different from the hustle and bustle of Tokyo, made Aiko restless. Kenji was trying to reassure her. "It's safe here. The people are friendly." The children, Hana and Ren, quickly adapted to school, but they still found the language and the long periods of silence on the streets strange at nightfall. On the third night at 2:37 a.m., the intercom rang, waking Kenji and Aiko. The sound was loud and insistent, clashing with the silence of the house. Kenji put on his robe and went downstairs, his heart racing. Through the camera at the gate, he saw two adults, a smiling, middle-aged man and a woman with short hair, both holding a basket of fruit and a wrapped box. "Sorry about the time. We are from number 19. We wanted to welcome you," said the man, waving at the camera. The woman smiled, but her gaze seemed too cold and fixed. Aiko, now beside her husband, whispered not to open it. Kenji responded over the intercom, thanking him but politely declining the invitation to open the gate at that hour. The man insisted, "Just a minute, it's important for us. You're the first new family in months." The man's smile faltered for a moment. The woman remained still, holding the box tightly. Kenji repeated that he preferred to talk in the morning. The visitors hesitated, looked at the windows and the car in the garage, then slowly walked away, disappearing into the fog. The couple couldn't sleep. In the morning, they found the basket and box left at the gate, fresh fruit, a bottle of wine. Without a label, a homemade cake. The smell of the cake was sweet and strange. Suspicious, they decided not to consume anything. The next day, Kenji noticed a black car parked on the corner with tinted windows. The same car appeared in the afternoon when Aiko went out to walk the dog. She noticed that the driver was watching her closely. Kenji reviewed the security camera footage and saw the neighbors hanging around the house for almost half an hour before ringing the intercom, looking in the side windows and trying to discreetly open the backyard gate. In one of the images, the man appeared to be talking on the phone, describing something while pointing at the house. Kenji talked to other residents. It turned out that no one knew the couple at number 19. That house had been empty for months. Other neighbors reported similar situations: nocturnal visits, gifts left at the gate, questions about routines and schedules. Concerned, the Nakamuras reinforced security. They changed locks, installed motion sensors, and started avoiding going out at night. They notified the police, who began patrolling the area more frequently. During one of these rounds, the black car was approached, but the driver presented false documents and was never seen again. The following week, the family received an anonymous note in their mailbox. "Did you like your gifts? We hope you are feeling at home." The message, written in English, was short, but made the intention to intimidate clear. The tension increased. Aiko developed insomnia, waking up at every noise. Kenji changed his work schedule to be more present. The previously lively children began to fear nightfall and avoided playing in the garden without supervision. The family felt watched. One night, Kenji heard footsteps in the garden and saw, through the cameras, two silhouettes near the gate. He called the police, but when the police car arrived, no one was found. The police warned about gangs scouting new houses, looking for victims for robberies or kidnappings, using the facade of friendly neighbors to obtain information and test residents' reactions. The Nakamura's case spread throughout the neighborhood, leading other families to increase their vigilance and be wary of unexpected visitors, especially during the early hours of the morning. The experience left deep marks. Aiko began to sleep. Poorly, Kenji increased security, and the children became more reserved. For the Nakamuras, the feeling of security was never the same. And for the residents of the neighborhood, there was a warning. Not all kindness is innocent, and true danger can knock on the door with a smile and a gift, especially when everyone is asleep and no one is around to help. As the months went by, the family tried to get back to their routine, but the memory of that nighttime visit never disappeared. Kenji installed more cameras, created strict security routines, and became suspicious of any untimely approach. Aiko, previously extroverted, became reserved, avoiding contact with strangers. Hana and Ren, who used to play in the backyard until dark, now only went out together. The episode was the subject of a report in the local newspaper warning about the increase in similar cases in Auckland. The police increased patrolling, but the mysterious couple was never identified. The black car disappeared from the streets, but the feeling of being watched remained. For the Nakamura family, New Zealand is no longer the haven of peace they imagined. And for everyone in the neighborhood, it became clear that sometimes danger hides behind smiles and gestures of welcome, waiting for the right moment to act when the night is darkest and trust is most vulnerable. The lost child, the Kitchens. Digital clock read 2:54 a.m. when Sarah Bennett, still drowsy, heard a soft knock on the front door. She had woken up to prepare a bottle for her youngest son, but the insistent noise made her stop in the hallway, her heart racing. The neighborhood was quiet, and at that early hour, any visit seemed unlikely and alarming. Sarah peeked through the living room curtain and saw a girl of about 8 years old, wearing pink pajamas and slippers, hugging a teddy bear. His face was dirty with dirt and tears. His hair was disheveled. Sarah called her husband, David, who went downstairs in silence, alert for the slightest sign of danger. "Hi, honey. What happened?" Sarah asked, keeping the safety chain attached to the door. The girl sobbed, her voice trembling. "I got lost. I can't find my house. May I use the phone? Please, I'm cold." The instinct to help spoke louder, but caution remained. David picked up the landline and asked, "Do you know your parents' number?" The girl shook her head, eyes wide. "I don't remember. I just want to call my mom." Sarah noticed that the girl looked back frequently, as if waiting for someone. The couple exchanged worried looks. David slipped discreetly out the back door to take a walk down the street. On the corner, under the dim light of a streetlight, there was a dark car parked, engine running, headlights off. A man inside the vehicle was carefully observing the house, cell phone in hand. David came back and whispered to Sarah, "There's someone waiting on the corner." "That's not right." Sarah tried to remain calm. "Honey, where are your parents? Do you remember your address?" The girl looked away, hesitantly. "I think it's close to the park, but I'm not sure." Sarah asked the girl to wait on the porch and closed the door, immediately calling the police. While they waited, they observed through the window. The girl was still standing still, but was looking insistently at the car. The man, noticing the movement, turned on the headlights and slowly accelerated, circling the block. At one point, the house phone rang. Sarah answered, but all she heard was heavy breathing and a click. Time seemed to drag by. Sarah and David remained alert, their fear growing by the minute. The youngest son cried in his room, scared by the tense atmosphere. Sarah calmed him down, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The police arrived in less than 10 minutes, 2 silent cars. When the agents approached, the girl ran towards the car, which took off at high speed. The police attempted to intercept it, but the vehicle disappeared into the neighborhood streets. After the confusion, the Bennetts gave a statement. The police explained that this was a known tactic. Criminals used children as bait to test the residents' reaction, trying to force the door open or obtain information about the house's routine. In some cases, children were victims of trafficking or were under threat. The police officer advised, never open the door, even for children. Call us immediately. They watch houses for days before taking action. Over the next few days, Sarah and David grew restless. The entire neighborhood was on alert, and reports of similar situations emerged in nearby areas of Manchester. The police intensified patrols and advised the population never to open the door to strangers, even if they were children apparently in danger. The experience left deep marks. Sarah began to sleep poorly, waking up at every noise. David reinforced the locks and installed security cameras. The fear that someone was watching became part of the routine. The teddy bear, forgotten on the porch, served as a constant reminder of that night when compassion almost gave way to danger. The Bennetts' case was the subject of local reports, warning about gangs that used minors to probe homes and plan invasions. The police never found the girl or identified the man in the car, but the episode forever changed the feeling of safety in the neighborhood. Neighbors started communicating through message groups, sharing any suspicious movements. Neighborhood. Children were told never to meet strangers and not to leave the house at night. Sarah, who had always believed the best in people, now hesitated before helping. The moral dilemma gnawed at her. How far to help someone in danger when the danger might just be waiting on the other side of the street? David, once optimistic, became vigilant, suspicious of any car parked on the street for too long. The climate of distrust spread. One night, a few weeks later, another resident reported a similar situation. A child knocking on the door, a car waiting on the corner, an attempted break-in thwarted by the arrival of the police. The gang seemed to operate in different neighborhoods, always changing strategy, always testing the limits of other people's compassion. For Sarah, the painful question remained, how to distinguish a real distress call from a trap. For the Bennetts, and for many Manchester residents, there was a warning. On silent nights, not every lost child knocks on the door by chance. And sometimes true danger hides behind innocent eyes, just waiting for someone to open the door. The fake cop. The digital clock on the bedside table read 3:11 a.m. when the doorbell echoed through Fiona Gallagher's house, yanking her from an uneasy sleep. The Glasnevin neighborhood was known for its tranquility, and Fiona, widowed for 2 years, had lived alone since her daughter moved away to college. The light rain tapped on the windows, making the dawn even more silent and threatening. Fiona put on her robe and went downstairs, her heart racing. Through the living room window, he saw a man standing on the porch, wearing a dark uniform, a raincoat and a police hat. He held a flashlight and lightly knocked on the door, looking directly at the security camera above the threshold. "Mrs. Gallagher," he called in a firm voice. "I'm Sergeant O'Donnell, Garda. I need to talk about an incident that occurred on this street tonight." Fiona, still suspicious, answered through the locked door. "What happened?" "Why so late?" "There was an attempted break-in at a nearby home, and we are investigating. I need to ask you some questions, ma'am. Can you open the door?" She hesitated. The man seemed to know his name, but something about the uniform was strange. The Garda crest seemed faded, and the badge was partially covered by the cape. She asked to see identification. The man quickly raised a card, but did not bring it closer to the glass. The photo was blurry, the name unreadable. He insisted, "Ma'am, it's just a routine check, no need to worry. If you want, I can call my partner." Fiona felt a chill. He looked into the backyard and noticed a shadow moving near the fence. The neighbor's dog barked loudly, signaling strange movement. The supposed police officer started asking vague questions about her routine, trying to distract her. "Are you alone? Notice anything strange tonight? Do you have security cameras?" As he spoke, he looked at the clock and at the end of the corridor, as if he was waiting for something. Fiona, keeping the door locked, took out her cell phone and discreetly typed a message to her daughter. "Someone's strange here. If they don't respond in 5 minutes, call the police." The man became impatient. "Ma'am, it is important that I enter to ensure your safety. Are you sure you don't want to collaborate?" Fiona, now firm, replied, "I only open the door when the official vehicle arrives. I've already called Garda headquarters." The man hesitated, took a step back, and tried to maintain his authoritative tone. At that moment, Fiona heard a metallic noise. Coming from behind, someone was trying to force the kitchen window. She ran and turned on all the lights, activating the alarm. The noise stopped, and the shadow fled across the garden. The fake policeman looked back nervously, muttered something and hurried away, disappearing into the rain. The real police arrived within minutes after Fiona's daughter called the emergency services. Agents confirmed that there was no operation on that street and that other residents had reported similar attempts in recent weeks. The pattern was always the same. A man in uniform distracted the victim at the front door while an accomplice tried to break in from the back. The investigation revealed that the gang operated in residential neighborhoods using fake uniforms and information obtained from social networks to personalize the scam. Police collected security camera footage from Fiona and neighboring houses, but the criminals wore caps, capes, and gloves, making identification difficult. The car used in the getaway was stolen and abandoned hours later in a distant neighborhood. Over the next few days, Fiona was in a state of constant alert. He installed more cameras, reinforced the locks, and became suspicious of any unexpected visitors, even during the day. The trauma of the invasion remained, but also the lesson. Not every uniform inspires confidence, and real danger can knock on the door with a fake badge and a rehearsed smile, just waiting for an oversight to enter. Fiona's case was widely publicized in the local press, serving as a warning to the population of Dublin. The Garda reinforced the guidelines: always require clear identification, never open the door without official confirmation, call the local police station in any suspicious situation, and, if possible, maintain contact with neighbors to report. Strange movements. The experience changed Fiona. Previously open and welcoming, she became reserved, always attentive to details and suspicious of any untimely approach. The neighborhood came together, creating messaging groups to share information and support each other. The neighborhood, once peaceful, now lived under the shadow of distrust, but also of collective vigilance. The episode marked Fiona's life, who began to value prudence even more. She never answered the door again, without double or triple checking who was on the other side. And for everyone in Glasnevin, it was clear that sometimes danger disguises itself as authority, and that the courage to distrust can be the difference between safety and tragedy. And so we come to the end of our 7 horror stories involving unexpected visitors at dawn. So, which one scared you the most? Will any make you think twice about answering the door in the middle of the night? Tell us in the comments which one was your favorite. If you enjoyed this dive into the world of scary dawns, don't forget to leave a like. This really helps the channel grow and encourages me to bring you more chilling stories. And if you are not yet registered, take the opportunity now to sign up and activate the bell.